Hello everyone, this is a simple scene that I created earlier this week, and I'm going to record a short breakdown of the scene. And also, if you want to download it and check it out for yourselves, there will be a link in the description of this video, and probably I'll paste the link in Facebook or whatever. Alright, so when you open the scene, this is what you'll see most likely, and I have this Cosmos asset, Chaos Cosmos, and here's the original asset that currently is missing. And it's missing because I stripped all the paths, but I will leave the original missing asset because when you download and open the file, right, so Max will warn you that there are some stuff missing, and Chaos Cosmos will detect that those are Cosmos assets and will prompt you to download it. So most likely you get also the textures, and there's also an HDR texture used for lighting that is plugged in the dome light, so probably you get this as well. And if for whatever reason the HDR is missing, you can always go into the Cosmos browser, HDRize evening, and sunset 016 is a texture that I used. You can also switch to whatever texture you like. Alright, so back in the scene, I converted the Cosmos asset to an editable poly and separated the body and the rotor so I can animate it like this. And also you have some points here just to help you for the animation. Right, they are of course linked. And there's also the typeflow system. You need typeflow, and the free version will, I think, will do just fine. Right, what else? You have this PHX layer with the simulator. Right, and you have a couple of sources. And the collider here, this one is set to be displayed as box, but it's this thing here, and it is just the body of the helicopter, and I used a convex hull modifier to create this shape. This is intended to create watertight hulls that are used for rigid body dynamics, but if it's good enough for rigid body dynamics, then it's good enough for Proxy collider for the simulation. The convex hull modifier is set to split by element. So if for some reason you feel that this is not detailed enough, you can always go inside the base object and select some loop, for example this one, and you can just split it like this, and then you have a more detailed hull. So this is before, this is after. So that's a pretty neat way to create some proxy objects for your simulation. Right, so I'll switch this back to be displayed as box, and here in the sources layer there's a sphere, this one that is using some black material, but let's get rid of the material. this one uses, right, so the upper part uses ID 1 and the lower part uses ID 2, and here it is added in this source, and the source is set to use ID 2, so only the lower part will emit fluid, and in the source we don't have any temperature, we don't have any smoke, we don't have anything besides the outgoing velocity that is creating the drag here. And in the second source we have the typhoid particles added. They emit some temperature, some smoke, and the velocity is set to minus 0.5. And it's a negative value because I want to create some flaring rocket effect. And let me quickly show you what I mean. Right, so what I mean is if you have a sphere that is emitting something, in this case temperature and smoke, and you have the motion velocity to 1, and this sphere is animated, right? If you simulate, let me just disable the temperature, right? So if you simulate, let's just enable the GPU preview. Right, so if you do this, the smoke will be dragged with the sphere. Right, so if you go in the negative direction, -1 for example, it will be emitted in the opposite direction of the traveling of the sphere, and you can go really crazy with this -5 for example. So this is a really quick way to make something like a rocket or something like this. Alright, so back in the original scene, what else do we have? Right, those, as I said, are just some helpers that help me to animate the helicopter. You can hide it. Shift H is the shortcut, but this will also hide your sources annoyingly, so you won't be able to simulate. So I guess you need to switch it off like this if you don't want your viewport to be so messy. Right, and here the body and the rotor are used for rendering, and I have those two added in the scene interaction list so that it's in exclude list, so that this simulator won't interact with them. Otherwise you need to hide it and leave those two like this and simulate like this. But yeah, it's easier if you have this, so you can render it, and if you forget, it's a good idea to add it into the exclude list, and then that way you won't get any troubles. And it's a really high-res mesh, so it will only slow down your simulation. Right, so I think this is pretty much it, and if you decide, you can download the file and mess with it, and yeah, enjoy.